The stars went dark one by one. Across the galaxy, planets fell silent as the massive ships of the Kaveri Dominion moved through space like a plague of metal locusts. They were unstoppable. They were hungry. And they were coming for Earth. Admiral Frank Nelson stood at the window of Lunar Base Alpha, his eyes fixed on the blue marble of Earth. The weight of command had never felt heavier on his shoulders. "How much time do we have?" he asked without turning. Lieutenant Susan Clark checked her tablet. "The outer colonies on Europa lost contact 6 hours ago. Based on their speed, 3 days at most." Nelson nodded slowly. 3 days to prepare for an enemy that had conquered over 40 known civilizations. 3 days to ready a defense against ships that could crack planets. And Project Deep Dive. Any word from Captain Wright? The Abyssal Pioneer sent its last update 12 hours ago. They found something in the Mariana Trench. Something big. Far below the surface of Earth's oceans, nearly 7 miles down, where the pressure could crush a submarine like an empty soda can, the research vessel Abyssal Pioneer hovered near the ocean floor. Inside the command center, Captain Eleanor Wright stared at the readings on her screen with disbelief. "Run the scan again," she ordered. Her science officer, Dr. Peter Collins, shook his head. "I've run it 3 times already. Whatever this is, it's alive. And it's massive." The scan showed an object. No, a creature, nearly 2 miles long, buried under centuries of sediment. But most shocking were the energy readings. They were off the charts, unlike anything ever recorded from a living organism. "Get me a secure line to Admiral Nelson," Wright said, "and prep the deep-sea drones. I want visual confirmation." On the other side of the world, in the United Nations Space Command Headquarters in Geneva, generals and politicians argued loudly around a conference table. Screens on the wall showed the approaching Kaveri fleet. Hundreds of ships, each one larger than the largest human vessel ever built. "Our orbital defenses won't last an hour," General Maria Lopes said, pointing to simulation results. "And ground-based weapons will be useless once they establish orbital superiority." Defense Secretary Alan Brown slammed his fist on the table. "Then we evacuate who we can. Underground bunkers, deep-sea habitats. 7 billion people." "Secretary," Lopes interrupted, "we can maybe save 1% in the time we have left." The room fell silent as the reality sank in. Humanity was facing extinction. The secure phone on the wall beeped. A young aide answered it, then turned pale. "Sir, it's Captain Wright from the Abyssal Pioneer. Priority Alpha." Admiral Nelson took the call on speaker. Wright's voice came through, distorted by the depths, but clear enough to hear her excitement. "Admiral, we found something. I don't know what it is yet, but sir, it might be our only hope." The first images from the deep-sea drones appeared on the main screen. Something massive lay half-buried in the ocean floor. What at first looked like underwater mountains were actually curved structures. A massive eye, closed for who knows how long, was visible beneath layers of sediment and coral. "Is that biological?" someone whispered. "Partially," Wright replied over the speaker. "But there's technology too. Advanced technology. We're detecting metals and alloys we can't even identify." Nelson leaned forward, studying the images. "How old?" "Based on sediment layers, at least 50,000 years, maybe much older." As they watched, one of the drones moved closer to what appeared to be ancient markings carved into the creature's hide or armor. Dr. Collins appeared on screen, his face lit by blue light from his monitors. "Admiral, these markings match symbols found in prehistoric cave paintings around the world. Paintings that depicted a guardian, a massive creature that protected Earth from threats from beyond the stars. In orbit around Jupiter, the first wave of Kaveri scout ships entered the solar system. The hunt had begun, and Earth was next on their list. The Leviathan slept on, dreaming ancient dreams of battle and sacrifice, unaware that humanity would soon attempt to wake it for one final fight. Dr. Jason Miller was eating a sandwich when the military helicopter landed on the university lawn. Two soldiers jumped out and ran toward the archaeology building. 5 minutes later, they escorted him to the helicopter without giving him time to pack. "What's this about?" he asked, shouting over the noise of the rotors. "You'll be briefed in the air," a soldier replied. Once airborne, a woman in a naval uniform handed him a tablet. "I'm Lieutenant Susan Clark. You're now part of Project Leviathan." Jason stared at the underwater images on the tablet. His sandwich forgotten, he zoomed in on markings that looked familiar yet impossible. These symbols, they're similar to those found at ancient sites worldwide, but never underwater. Where is this? Mariana Trench, and we need you to tell us what we're looking at. 12 hours later, Jason stood in the cramped lab of the Abyssal Pioneer, surrounded by core samples and 3D models. Captain Eleanor Wright watched him with growing impatience. "Well, Doctor, is it a structure, a vehicle?" Jason looked up from his work. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. "It's both, and neither. It's alive." He pulled up images on the main screen. These markings aren't decorative. They're functional, part of a biomechanical system unlike anything on Earth. And these patterns match cave paintings from 30,000 BCE. Dr. Peter Collins joined them, adding, "The energy readings are increasing. Whatever it is, I think it's waking up." On the surface, Admiral Nelson's voice came through the speakers. "Captain Wright, we've lost contact with Neptune Station. The Kaveri main fleet is accelerating. New ETA, 36 hours. The room went quiet. Then Wright spoke. "We need to communicate with it." "With respect, Captain," Jason said, "we don't know what it is." "The ancient texts called it Guardian," she replied. "And right now, it's the only card we haven't played." Admiral Nelson authorized the attempt. "Make it happen. I'm sending Dr. Lisa Patel. She's our best xenolinguist." Dr. Patel arrived 6 hours later. Slim and intense, she set up her equipment near the creature's exposed neural node. The structure of these markings suggests a language based on mathematical concepts. She explained to Jason, "If we broadcast prime number sequences along with simple images, we might establish basic communication." Jason watched as she worked, fascinated by her approach. "And if it's hostile?" Lisa smiled grimly. "Then we're no worse off than we already are." Commander Sam Rodriguez, their military liaison, didn't share her optimism. "We should be preparing weapons, not trying to talk to this thing." "We're doing both," Captain Wright said firmly. They set up a communication array and began broadcasting their signals directly into the neural node of the massive being. Hours passed with no response. In orbit, Earth's defense fleet moved into position. Ships that had once fought each other now formed a single force against the coming storm. It wouldn't be enough. Everyone knew it. Just as frustration was mounting on the Abyssal Pioneer, all the screens flickered, the lights dimmed, and a voice, not sound, but something felt directly in their minds, touched them all. "I hear." The scientists froze. Captain Wright recovered first. "We need your help," she said aloud, though she understood somehow that words were unnecessary. Images flooded their minds. Stars, ships, battle, a sense of ancient purpose. "The Kaveri," the voice acknowledged. "Old enemies. Why have you woken the Guardian?" Lisa scrambled to record everything, while Jason tried to make sense of the historical implications. This being knew the Kaveri had fought them before. "They're coming to destroy our world," Captain Wright explained. "We can't stop them alone." A sensation like deep, rumbling laughter filled their minds. "No, you cannot." The ocean floor trembled. Sediment clouds billowed around the research vessel. Something massive was moving. "But we are not alone," the Guardian continued. "We are together now." Captain Wright felt a strange connection forming, tendrils of awareness reaching toward her mind specifically. "You, The Guardian addressed her. "You will be my pilot." On the surface, Admiral Nelson received an urgent message. The Kaveri had breached Mars orbit. The final countdown had begun. And deep below, something ancient and terrible was awakening. The Kaveri Dominion ships entered Earth's solar system like a swarm of angry hornets. Their metal hulls glinted in the sun as they destroyed the outer defense platforms around Jupiter with ease. Admiral Nelson watched the feeds with a grim face. "Open a channel to their command ship," he ordered. Lieutenant Clark worked at her console. "Channel open." "Sir." The main screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. The Kaveri commander had blue-gray skin with ridges where eyebrows would be on a human. 4 yellow eyes blinked independently. "I am Admiral Frank Nelson of Earth. We request peaceful talks." The alien made a sound like stones grinding together. "I am Supreme Commander Vextar of the Kaveri Dominion. Your request is noted. You have 6 hours to prepare your surrender terms. After that, we begin planetary bombardment." The screen went dark. "That bought us some time," Nelson said. "Get me Captain Wright." Deep below the ocean surface, the abyssal pioneer rocked as the Guardian shifted position. Massive limbs, dormant for millennia, flexed and tested their strength. Captain Wright stood in the communication room, her face pale. "You want me to what?" she asked. The Guardian's voice filled her mind. "To fight as one, we must join as one. Your mind, my power." Dr. Lisa Patil monitored Wright's vital signs. "The Guardian is proposing a neural link, a symbiotic relationship. Will it be permanent?" Wright asked. Dr. Jason Miller studied the ancient markings. "These suggest previous pilots returned to normal after the threat passed." "And if I refuse?" The Guardian's response was immediate. "Then Earth falls." The Kaveri are stronger now than in cycles past. Their technology has evolved. Commander Rodriguez shook his head. "It's too risky. We can't trust this thing." "With respect, Commander," Wright said, "we're out of options." Admiral Nelson's face appeared on the screen. "The Kaveri have given us 6 hours before they attack." "Captain Wright, what's your status?" Wright straightened her shoulders. "The Guardian needs a pilot, sir. I'm volunteering." Nelson's face showed concern. "Are you sure about this?" "No, sir," Wright admitted, "but unsure about what happens if we do nothing." After a long pause, Nelson nodded. "Permission granted. Godspeed, Captain." The preparation began immediately. The scientists set up a linking chamber in the area closest to the Guardian's neural center. Wright changed into a special suit lined with sensors. "The process will create a bridge between your consciousness and the Guardians," Dr. Patil explained. "You'll still be you, but you'll also be connected to something ancient and powerful." Wright managed to smile. "Just make sure I don't forget which part is me." As she entered the linking chamber, Dr. Miller squeezed her shoulder. "The ancient texts say these Guardians were created by the first ones to protect life-bearing worlds. You're doing what they designed it for." The chamber door closed. Inside, Wright lay back on a platform as it lowered into the water. The liquid was warm, almost comforting. She closed her eyes as the water covered her face. Then the connection began. Wright gasped as her mind expanded. Memories that weren't hers flooded in. Stars being born, worlds dying, battles against countless enemies. The Guardian had protected Earth since before humans walked upright. It had slept only when the stars were safe. "I see you," the Guardian said inside her mind. "You are brave for such a young species. And you're talkative for a giant sea monster," Wright replied, surprised she could still joke. The Guardian's amusement rippled through her consciousness. "We will work well together." In orbit, the Kaveri fleet positioned itself for attack. Supreme Commander Vextar studied the readings from Earth with growing interest. Energy signals unlike anything they had encountered were emanating from the planet's oceans. "Scan that area again," he ordered his science officer. "Unknown energy signature, Commander. It's familiar somehow." Vextar felt an ancestral memory stir, a genetic warning passed down through generations of Kaveri leaders. His 4 eyes widened. Prepare the fleet for immediate attack. Target those coordinates first. On Earth's surface, tsunami warnings blared as the ocean began to churn. The waters of the Pacific rose and fell as something massive stirred from its ancient sleep. The final battle for Earth was about to begin. Captain Eleanor Wright no longer felt the water around her body. She was everywhere and nowhere at once. Her mind expanded beyond the linking chamber, beyond the ocean, reaching into the vast consciousness of the Guardian. The merging is complete, Dr. Lisa Patil announced, monitoring the vital signs. Brain activity is off the charts, but stable. Dr. Jason Miller studied the ancient symbols that now glowed with blue light across the Guardian's massive body. It's preparing to move. Commander Rodriguez grabbed a communication unit. All surface vessels, clear the area. I repeat, clear the area. Above the ocean, naval ships scrambled to move away as the water began to churn. Massive waves formed as something pushed up from the depths. Inside her joined consciousness, Wright tried to make sense of her new reality. She could feel the Guardian's ancient body as if it were her own. Massive limbs that had been still for thousands of years now responded to her thoughts. We must rise. The Guardian's voice echoed in her mind. The Kaveri will attack soon. The waves will destroy coastal cities, Wright realized with horror. I can contain them, the Guardian assured her. Direct my energy fields. Wright didn't understand what that meant until suddenly she did. Knowledge flowed between them. She focused her thoughts on creating energy barriers around their rising form. The Pacific Ocean parted like a curtain. A mountain of metal and flesh rose from the depths. First came a massive head that looked part beast, part machine. Then shoulders wider than aircraft carriers. Arms with weapons built into them emerged next. The creature stood taller than skyscrapers, water cascading off its ancient form. But the tsunamis that should have formed were contained within shimmering blue fields that absorbed and neutralized the energy. People on the shorelines of nations across the Pacific watched in awe. News cameras captured the impossible sight. A creature from legend had emerged from the sea. In orbit, Supreme Commander Vextar stared at the images with growing dread. It is as the ancient warning said, he whispered. A Guardian, but different, changed. His second-in-command looked concerned. Should we delay the attack? Vextar's 4 eyes narrowed. No, we strike now, before it reaches full power. The Kaveri fleet launched its first wave of attack ships. Hundreds of smaller vessels descended toward Earth's atmosphere. Admiral Nelson watched from Lunar Base Alpha. All defense platforms, prepare to engage. By the Guardian sometime. Earth's orbital weapons fired at the incoming ships. A few Kaveri vessels exploded, but most continued their approach. Inside the Guardian, Wright felt a new sensation. Anger. Not her own, but the Guardian's ancient rage at seeing its world threatened again. The Kaveri have done this before. The Guardian's thoughts merged with hers. They hunt worlds with potential. Destroy those who might one day challenge them. We need to coordinate with Earth's forces, Wright thought back. The Guardian agreed. A communication channel opened to Admiral Nelson. Admiral, this is Captain Wright. I'm connected. The Guardian and I can fight, but we need your help. Nelson's voice came through clearly. Captain, are you all right? Yes, sir. Different, but still me. We need to draw the Kaveri into the atmosphere. The Guardian's weapons work better there. Understood. We'll adjust our strategy. The Guardian's enormous body began to move toward shore. Each step covered hundreds of yards. Wright could feel the power surging through systems that had been dormant for millennia. They're coming. The Guardian informed her, sensing the approaching attack ships. The first Kaveri fighters appeared in the sky, streaking toward them with weapons glowing. Wright didn't know how to fight in this massive body, but the Guardian did. She let its combat instincts guide her. A massive arm raised. Energy gathered at the palm. A beam of blue light shot upward, splitting the sky. 3 Kaveri ships disintegrated instantly. More ships appeared. The Guardian moved with impossible speed for something so large. Wright felt their shared body twist and turn, avoiding enemy fire while launching counterattacks. We are stronger together. The Guardian's thoughts flowed through her mind. No Guardian has ever joined with a human before. Your instincts, they are different, unpredictable. Wright smiled within their shared consciousness. That's humanity's specialty. Above them, the sky filled with Kaveri ships. The real battle was just beginning. The sky burned with energy blasts as the Guardian battled the first wave of Kaveri fighters. Blue beams shot from the Guardian's palms, cutting through enemy ships with ease. Captain Wright directed their movements while the Guardian handled weapon systems. They worked together like they had trained for years, not hours. On screens across the world, people watched the impossible battle. A giant being from Earth's oceans fighting alien ships. Hope began to replace fear as they saw the Guardian destroy wave after wave of attackers. Inside the merged consciousness, Wright accessed the Guardian's memories. "You've fought them before." "Yes," the Guardian replied. "Long ago. They were weaker then." The Guardian raised a massive arm to block an energy torpedo aimed at a nearby city. The blast rocked their shared body, but did no real damage. "I was created to defend all life on this world," the Guardian continued. "Many times I rose to fight threats from the stars, but never with a human partner." Wright felt the Guardian's curiosity about human thoughts and emotions. It had protected Earth for countless ages, watching life evolve from simple organisms to complex civilizations. In orbit, Supreme Commander Vextar studied the battle with growing concern. His attack ships were being destroyed faster than expected. "Prepare the Void Lance," he ordered. His second-in-command looked alarmed. "The Void Lance requires 1/4 of our fleet's energy. We would be vulnerable. If we don't stop that Guardian, nothing else matters." The main Kaveri fleet began to move into a new formation. Energy flowed between the ships, connecting them in a web of power. Admiral Nelson noticed the change from Lunar Base Alpha. "What are they doing?" Lieutenant Susan Clark analyzed the readings. "They're combining their ship's power, building towards some kind of massive weapon discharge." Nelson grabbed the communication unit. "Captain Wright, be advised. The Kaveri are preparing something big." Wright received the warning. Through the Guardian's enhanced senses, she could see the energy building in the Kaveri fleet. "We need to stop that weapon," she thought. "We cannot reach orbit yet," the Guardian replied. "My systems are still awakening after the long sleep." Wright considered their options. Then an idea came to her, not from the Guardian's ancient knowledge, but from her human intuition. "We don't need to reach them. We can make them come to us." The Guardian accessed her plan from their shared mind. Clever. Risky, but clever. They turned away from the attacking fighters and moved toward the ocean. The Guardian's massive body splashed into the Pacific, creating controlled waves that its energy fields contained. "What is it doing?" Vextar demanded, watching the Guardian retreat. His science officer studied the readings. "It appears to be hiding." Vextar's 4 eyes narrowed. "No, it's drawing us in. Continue charging the Void Lance, but move the fleet closer. I want that thing destroyed." The Kaveri fleet began to descend, maintaining their energy web formation. Just as Wright had predicted, they followed. Beneath the ocean surface, the Guardian spoke to Wright's mind. "The weapons of the Kaveri are designed for space combat. Underwater, their energy beams will scatter. But ours won't." Wright finished the thought. They waited as the Kaveri ships moved lower, approaching the ocean surface. The energy web between the ships glowed brighter as the Void Lance neared full power. "Now," Wright commanded. The ocean exploded upward as the Guardian burst from the depths directly beneath the Kaveri formation. Massive arms grabbed 2 of the largest ships before they could react. The sudden movement disrupted the energy web. "Fire the Void Lance," Vextar ordered frantically. The weapon discharged, but the disrupted web caused the energy to scatter in all directions. Several Kaveri ships were hit by their own weapon, exploding in brilliant flashes. The Guardian pulled the captured ships down into the ocean. Underwater explosions sent plumes of water skyward. On the shore, Dr. Jason Miller watched through binoculars. "It's using their weakness against them," he said with awe. Dr. Lisa Patel monitored Captain Wright's vital signs from their makeshift command center. Her brain patterns are stabilizing. She's adapting to the neural link faster than expected. The Guardian rose from the water again, its massive form silhouetted against the setting sun. The remaining Kaveri ships retreated to a higher orbit. Round 1 had gone to Earth. In his command ship, Supreme Commander Vextar seethed with rage. "Prepare the world engines. If we cannot defeat the Guardian directly, we will make this planet uninhabitable." The real test was just beginning. Night fell across the Pacific. The Guardian stood like a sentinel at the edge of the continental shelf, half in water, half exposed to air. Its massive form glowed with soft blue light that pulsed in rhythm with Earth's magnetic field. Inside the joined consciousness, Captain Eleanor Wright experienced something new. While the Guardian kept watch, she could explore its memories more deeply. "You said you've protected Earth many times," she thought. "But you were alone then. No human pilot." The Guardian's thoughts flowed back. "Yes, in cycles past, I fought alone, as did my kind on other worlds. Your kind, there are more like you." Ancient images filled Wright's mind. Dozens of worlds, each with its own Guardian. Different forms suited to different environments, but all with the same purpose: to protect life. "We were created by the first ones," the Guardian explained, "placed on worlds with the potential for advanced life." What happened to the other Guardians? Sadness flowed through their connection. Many fell to the Kaveri. "Fighting alone, we were strong but predictable. The Kaveri learned our patterns." Wright understood. "But with human pilots, you're unpredictable." "Yes, this joining was never part of our design, but adaptation is survival." Their conversation was interrupted by Admiral Nelson's voice through their communication link. "Captain Wright, we've detected movement in the Kaveri fleet. They're deploying something toward Earth's atmosphere." The Guardian's senses extended upward. Through their shared vision, Wright saw strange devices entering orbit. "World engines," the Guardian identified them. "They will alter your atmosphere, make it toxic to humans, but perfect for Kaveri." "Can we stop them?" "We must, but they are in high orbit. I cannot reach them yet." Wright shared the information with Admiral Nelson. "Sir, we need to destroy those devices before they activate. Can our orbital platforms target them?" "We'll try, Captain, but our weapons are depleted from the earlier battle." The remaining Earth defense ships moved to intercept the world engines. They fired at the alien devices, but protective shields absorbed the attacks. Dr. Jason Miller contacted Wright from the Shore Command Center. "Captain, we've been analyzing the Guardian structure. There appears to be a dormant propulsion system, if you can activate it." "I hear," the Guardian interrupted. "The doctor is correct. I have such systems, but they require time to charge after my long sleep." "How long?" Wright asked. "Hours, less if we draw energy from another source." An idea formed in Wright's mind. What about using the Kaveri's own energy against them? Like we did with the Void Lance, but bigger. The Guardian considered this. Possible. Risky. We would need to draw their fire deliberately. Wright relayed the plan to Admiral Nelson. He didn't like it, but agreed they had few options. "All Earth forces, this is Admiral Nelson. Focus fire on the Kaveri command ship. Make them angry." Earth's remaining defenses concentrated their attack on Supreme Commander Vextar's vessel. The massive ship shields held, but the assault got their attention. Vextar watched with 4 narrowed eyes. "They're desperate. Ignore them and continue deploying the world engines." His second-in-command disagreed. "The Guardian is planning something. We should eliminate it now." "Very well. Target the Guardian with all secondary weapons. Maintain power to the world engines. The Kaveri fleet shifted, bringing weapons to bear on the Guardian. Energy beams lanced down from orbit. Instead of dodging, the Guardian spread its massive arms wide, drawing the attacks to its chest. Wright felt pain through their connection, but held firm to their plan. Energy absorption at 60%. The Guardian communicated. 80%. Maximum capacity reached. The Kaveri continued their barrage, not realizing they were feeding power to their enemy. Now, Wright commanded. The Guardian's body transformed. Panels opened along its back and legs. Dormant engines ignited with the stolen energy. Blue fire erupted as the massive being launched upward with impossible speed. From shore, humans watched in awe as their defender rocketed toward space, leaving a trail of blue flame across the night sky. In orbit, Vextar stared in disbelief. Impossible. Guardians cannot leave their worlds. This one can, his science officer said with fear in his voice. It's evolved. The Guardian shot past the lower atmosphere, aiming directly for the world engines. The battle for Earth was moving to space. Space opened up around the Guardian as it left Earth's atmosphere. Captain Wright felt their shared body adapting to the vacuum. Systems that had been dormant for millennia activated, creating shields against radiation and cold. On the lunar base Alpha, Admiral Nelson and his crew watched in amazement as the Guardian approached orbit. "It's beautiful," Lieutenant Susan Clark whispered. In space, the Guardian's true form became clear. What had appeared mechanical on Earth now looked almost organic. Blue energy flowed through patterns that resembled veins. Wings of light extended from its back, propelling it forward. Inside their joined consciousness, Wright marveled at the sensation of flying through space without a ship. "We are what your people would call a living spaceship," the Guardian explained. "The first ones designed us to operate in all environments." Ahead, the world engines began to activate. There were 12 in total, positioned strategically around Earth's orbit. Green clouds emerged from the devices, starting to spread through the upper atmosphere. "We must destroy them quickly," the Guardian communicated. "Once the process begins, it is difficult to reverse." The Kaveri fleet moved to intercept. Hundreds of ships formed a barrier between the Guardian and the world engines. Supreme Commander Vextar's voice boomed across space communications. "Guardian, you have evolved beyond your programming. Join us. The Kaveri Dominion offers alliance." Wright was surprised. "They're trying to negotiate." "Deception," the Guardian replied. "The Kaveri fear what they cannot understand. A Guardian that can leave its world is unknown to them." Together, they ignored the message and accelerated toward the nearest world engine. The Kaveri opened fire. Energy weapons struck their shields from all directions. The Guardian's arms transformed, becoming weapons too advanced for human understanding. They returned fire, cutting through several Kaveri ships with ease. But there were too many. The Guardian took hit after hit as they pressed forward. "We cannot defeat their entire fleet," the Guardian acknowledged. Wright searched through the Guardian's memories and her own training. "We don't need to. We just need to reach those engines." She opened a channel to Earth. "Admiral Nelson, we need a diversion. Anything you can provide." Nelson responded immediately. "On it, Captain." Earth's remaining defense ships launched from hidden bases. They approached from the dark side of the moon, catching the Kaveri by surprise. Their weapons might be weaker, but the unexpected attack drew attention. The Guardian seized the opportunity, accelerating through a gap in the Kaveri formation. They reached the first world engine and tore it apart with massive hands. Green gas dispersed harmlessly into space. 1 down, 11 to go. Wright thought. They moved to the next engine, but the Kaveri were ready this time. A massive energy net deployed, ensnaring the Guardian. "Containment field," the Guardian identified. "Designed to trap my kind." Wright felt their movement restricted as the net tightened. Kaveri ships approached, weapons charging for a killing blow. In that moment of crisis, Wright had an insight. She accessed memories not from the Guardian, but from her own human experiences, swimming in ocean currents, flowing with the water instead of fighting it. "Don't resist the net," she directed. "Flow with it." The Guardian followed her guidance. Instead of pulling against the energy net, they moved with its contours, using the tension to slingshot toward another world engine. The sudden change in tactics caught the Kaveri unprepared. 2 more engines destroyed. 9 remained. On his command ship, Vextar slammed his fist in frustration. "What is happening? Guardians don't adapt like this." His science officer studied the readings. The human connection. It's giving the Guardian new strategies. Unpredictable patterns. Then we need to break that connection. Vextar's 4 eyes gleamed with cruel intelligence. "Prepare the mind disruptor." The Kaveri flagship opened specialized panels, revealing a weapon unlike any other. It targeted the Guardian directly, firing not energy but psychological warfare. Wright screamed as the attack hit their joined consciousness. Images flooded her mind, her deepest fears, memories twisted into nightmares. The connection between her and the Guardian began to fracture. "Hold on," the Guardian urged, its own thoughts becoming distant. "We must stay together." Their shared form drifted, temporarily disabled by the attack. Kaveri ships closed in for the kill. But from Earth, a new signal emerged. Dr. Lisa Patel had modified their communication array. "Captain Wright," her voice cut through the chaos. "Focus on my voice. The disruptor targets individual minds. But you are not alone. You are 2 minds as one." The Guardian and Captain Wright surged forward with renewed strength. Their joined form glowed brighter than before, the mind disruptor attack having failed to separate them. Instead, it had somehow strengthened their bond. "The attack forced our minds to integrate more deeply," the Guardian explained as they destroyed another world engine. 8 remained. The Kaveri fleet regrouped around their flagship, protecting Supreme Commander Vextar. "All ships, focus fire," Vextar ordered. Nothing must reach the remaining engines. The Kaveri unleashed everything they had. The space around the Guardian filled with energy beams and missiles. Their shields held, but barely. Wright felt their shared forms straining under the assault. "We can't take much more of this." Then something unexpected happened. From Earth, a swarm of small ships appeared. The remaining human fighters launched to join the battle, targeting the Kaveri rear guard. Admiral Nelson's voice came through their link. "Thought you could use some help, Captain." The distraction allowed the Guardian to destroy 2 more world engines. 6 remained. Supreme Commander Vextar realized his plan was failing. He made a decision. "Bring the flagship closer. I will speak with them directly." The massive Kaveri command ship approached the Guardian, weapons powered down in a gesture of truce. Vextar's image appeared before them. "Guardian, human, you fight well together. Better than expected. Perhaps there is another way." Wright remained cautious. "What do you want?" "Understanding." Vextar's 4 eyes blinked slowly. The Kaveri Dominion conquers not for glory, but survival. Through their connection, the Guardian sensed truth in the words. "Explain," it demanded. Vextar showed them images, a massive dark force consuming stars at the galaxy's center. The Devourers, ancient enemies of all life. They awaken once more. We prepare the galaxy to fight them. By conquering everyone, Wright questioned. By unifying them. Under our rule, yes, but with purpose. The Guardian accessed ancient memories. The Devourers. My creators fought them long ago. They nearly destroyed all life. Wright felt the Guardian's concern. These Devourers were real, and worse than the Kaveri. "If what you say is true," Wright said, "why not ask for alliance instead of attacking?" "Would you have believed us?" Vextar countered. "Most species resist until they see the truth. By then, it is too late." Wright and the Guardian communicated privately. "What do you think?" she asked her partner. The threat is real, but the Kaveri method is flawed. Conquest breeds resistance, not unity. Wright made a decision. She addressed Vextar. We offer a different path. Earth leads an alliance of equals against this common enemy. The Kaveri join as partners, not rulers. Vextar seemed surprised. You would trust us after our attack. Trust must begin somewhere. But first, deactivate all remaining world engines. After a moment of consideration, Vextar gave the order. The green clouds dissipated as the engines powered down. On Earth, Admiral Nelson could hardly believe what he was seeing. Are they surrendering? Dr. Jason Miller studied the communication data. Not surrendering. Negotiating. Dr. Lisa Patil monitored Wright's brain patterns. The captain is still in control. The Guardian agrees with her approach. The Guardian and Captain Wright descended toward Earth, followed by the Kaveri flagship. As they entered the atmosphere, humans watched with a mixture of fear and hope. They landed on a flat plain where military and civilian leaders had gathered. The Guardian knelt, lowering its massive form. A panel opened in its chest, and Captain Eleanor Wright emerged. She looked different. Her eyes now had a faint blue glow, and patterns like those on the Guardian traced her skin. But her voice was her own as she addressed the assembled humans. Today marks a new chapter for Earth and for the galaxy. We face a threat greater than the Kaveri, but we face it together, as equals. From the Kaveri ship, Supreme Commander Vextar emerged with his officers. They approached cautiously, 4 eyes scanning the crowd. Admiral Nelson stepped forward to meet them. This alliance won't be easy. Few worthwhile things are, Vextar replied. Behind them, the Guardian stood tall, watching over this first meeting between former enemies. Inside her mind, Wright still felt the Guardian's presence. Their connection had changed them both. What happens now? She asked silently. Now we prepare, the Guardian answered. There are more like me sleeping on other worlds. With human pilots, we can wake them. Wright looked to the stars, no longer a frontier to fear, but a community to protect. The Kaveri had conquered the stars, until their Armada met Earth's Leviathan. Now the stars would be defended by them all.